Thank you all. We need to leave it to Monica because we're running out of time.
Thank you so much, Steph, and good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you again. I have two quick notes for you before your next briefing. The President of the General Assembly met with the Prime Minister of Japan, His Excellency Mr. Fumio Kishida, on the last day of his official visit to the country. The President is flying back to New York as we speak. President Francis spoke about multilateralism, peace and security, and the importance of a world free of nuclear weapons. The PJ also expressed his condolences to the families of the victims of the Noto Peninsula earthquake, which took place on 1st of January, as you may remember, as well as sympathy for those still being affected by the aftermath of this disaster. The PJ and the Prime Minister exchanged views on the work of the General Assembly, and the Summit of the Future is scheduled for September as an opportunity to reinvigorate multilateralism. Mr. Francis held a separate meeting with the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan, Her Excellency Ms. Yoko Kamikawa. They spoke about several topics, including Security Council reform, Sustainable Development Goals, advancing women, peace and security, nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation, climate change, and sea level rise, among other issues. Earlier today in Tokyo, the PGA delivered remarks at a meeting with the Parliamentarian Coalition of Women, Peace and Security at the House of Representatives. Mr. Francis highlighted that it is important to mobilize the full potential of women in building a safer, more equitable world. He stated that there is no turning point. Women must be allowed, indeed be encouraged, to take their rightful place alongside men in a meaningful partnership to achieve peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all, with no one left behind. And our last note, President Francis has appointed two co-facilitators to conduct consultations on possible further measures necessary to enhance the participation of indigenous peoples, representatives, and institutions in relevant United Nations meetings on issues affecting them. In a letter, the PGA informed member states that His Excellency Mr. Robert Bray, the permanent representative of Canada to the UN, and His Excellency Mr. Victor Garcia Toma, the permanent representative of Peru to the United Nations, will serve as co-facilitators working with member states, but also with indigenous peoples' representatives and institutions from all regions in the world. In 2024, the theme of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues is enhancing indigenous peoples' rights to self-determination in the context of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, emphasizing the voice of indigenous youth. And on the margins of the Permanent Forum, which will happen from the 15th to the 26th of April, for your diaries, the President will convene on the 17th of April a high-level event to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the adoption of the outcome document of the high-level plenary meeting of the GA, known as the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples. And this is everything we have for today. Do you have anything else? Stefano, how are you today? Good to see you. Go ahead.
Hello, Monica. Thank you. About the meeting that the President had with the Foreign Minister of Japan, where they talked about the Security Council reform. At the same time, the President of Brazil, Lula, that was in Egypt, said that he criticized the Security Council reform, and he said that he's for the elimination of the veto power. Do you know if, first of all, we know what is Japan's position. We don't know what President Francis thinks about it, but can you tell us a little bit more of what was discussed between them?
Sure. I think the President is following very closely the negotiations and the process of this subject that has been on the table for a long time, as we all know. the reform of the Security Council. But when you ask me, Stefano, about his opinion, you know that the president, as a facilitator, as a convener of this work, he is there to listen to all parties. And he's not taking any sides on this discussion. He's definitely supporting the negotiations and member states. And of course, he has said in several exchanges here, but also with other members of the press, that the Security Council needs to reflect the reality of 2024, and that we have a configuration that reflects the reality of 1945. So it's high time for these negotiations to advance, and the president is there to help and support the co-facilitators. But thank you for your question. Anyone else or in the screen? Hamid, how are you? But I go to Edie here before I go to you. How about that? Edie, go ahead.
Thank you, Monica. Can you tell us what the General Assembly's plans, if any, are to mark the, I think we're the second anniversary of Russia's February 24th invasion of Ukraine?
Sure, and thank you for your question, because not only you, Edie, but other colleagues here have asked as well in writing. And I have to say that the meeting will take place on the 23rd of February, as we know, so one day before the 2 years, unfortunately, of this conflict going on. But this meeting is coinciding with this particular date, but the meeting has been going on for several years now in the General Assembly, and it's called the Agenda Item 63, the situation in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. It's scheduled for the 23rd of February, 10 a.m., and will be also webcast. But thank you. Anyone? Of course, Hamid, go ahead. How are you today? Good to see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mom. I normally ask these questions, which need to go back into history. In 1992, the General Assembly adopted Resolution 47-121, which says that ethnic cleansing is a form of genocide. So, first, is this resolution still standing, and the president of the GA will defend this resolution as a valid piece of international law? And second, does he see what's going on in Gaza, and especially in Rafah, as form of ethnic cleansing and genocide?
Hamid, thank you for your question. Of course, the President of the General Assembly supports resolutions adopted by the General Assembly. It doesn't matter when they were adopted. I think we talked about that before on the definition of a genocide. It's not up to us to go into it. It's up to, of course, a competent body to go and to speak about it. I would like to refer you to some of the tweets that the president has been posting on his social media accounts that speaks about what's going on in Gaza and Rafah specifically. But thank you so much. I understand you have a briefing, and I see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.